Quiet on the set. Here we go again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy, your not so retired friend in genealogy. Thanks for moving over. That other StreamYard stream was not getting out of StreamYard over to YouTube. Please tell me, those of you who are waiting on the YouTube side, can you hear and see me? Today is Mondays with Myrt, and just a couple of housekeeping points. In 2 weeks, we should be meeting on the 23rd, but old Myrt here will be attending GRIP. I'm taking the AI course with Mark Thompson and Steve Little. Thank you for the yes. I can see that you can see and hear me. Good, we got here. As a result of taking that GRIP course, I can't be here hosting Mondays with Myrt. Panelists voted, and we're moving the 23rd Mondays with Myrt to the 30th. And then we will resume our normal schedule as we had outlined it. So the following will be the 7th of July. So we'll see you on the 30th, and then again pretty quickly on the 7th of July. All right. Man, you guys are super. But if you can track down some of those elusive ancestors, you are managing to keep up with Myrt and the panelists today. Let me pull you all up and change our settings here. Get ready to share your screen if you've submitted a link of an unusual document, because the question to my panelists this week is, what unusual or what document have you encountered most recently in the pursuit of climbing your family tree? Yeah, thank you, Sherry, for getting that out. I also need to do the giveaway tool, because a little bit later we have to redo all this. There we go. I'm giving away a quick sheet, one of Elizabeth Schoen Mill's quick sheets. So we'll have to have the hashtag out there again. Mondays. Oh, so many fun things to take care of when you have a technical snafu. We were doing just fine. It was a great program, but the panelists noticed you weren't there. Get ready to share your screen, guys. And while we're getting ready, I need to let you know that it's Hillary's birthday today. So let's sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Hillary. Happy birthday to you.
And yes, what's happening? I'm getting all kinds of little circles. Are we locking up?
Maybe.
Betty Lou and some of you out there, please tell me on the YouTube side when you lose us and when you get us back. Can you? Yeah. We may have to record this separately. I don't know. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and I don't see anyone else sharing their screen except me. So it's all right. I have your link. First thing I want to talk about is a new option that we've been working with on FamilySearch that's been in beta and is now going to an all collections search. And that, of course, is our very favorite full text search. Let me ask the panelists. I'll pull you up on the side here. Who can just share a brief story? Thank you, Dawn, for your feedback. Who can share a story of where full text search at FamilySearch has made a difference in your research?
Randy, I'm sure.
I think I'm locking up. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
It's made a big difference. It's so easy to find.
I don't think he can hear me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so easy to find land deeds, especially, and probate records. I haven't looked at a lot of other types of records, but the deeds and the probates are there, uh, and they're relatively easy to search. And you can search for witnesses, and you can search for other
That
people.
ability. Yeah, when FamilySearch indexing does its two-part A and B indexing, and then the computer compares, they're only indexing certain fields. And it used to kill us when we were doing indexing for them because we could see in an obituary or a probate case where other relationships and names were included. Is that me going in and out? Is it my internet? Mr. Myrt, would you please turn off your computer and your phone? Thank you, sweetheart. Will it try to increase our bandwidth? You know, you'd think it was Friday the 13th or something. But with full text search, as Randy is saying, it's not just the principal on a probate. It's who the executors are, who the other names are that are found in that probate packet.
I think there's something else that's pretty important here, that if you're trying to find all the people who lived on Polecat Creek, you can do a search on Polecat Creek and get all the deeds. Well, we hope all the deeds that the AI can read, and pull it up. So you can do odd locational places also, or neighbors on deeds. I just taught a course just the other day on Saturday about full text search. And so though I can't say that I've had any great revelations, other people have. And so I've gone through some of my names, but not all of my names. And I want to do that in a very regular pattern so that I don't miss anybody that I'm interested in. So it was a revelation to the audience on Saturday about how easy it was. And it's interesting to think about what's the future for this and the catalog and images as we go forward.
You know, it surprises me that the National Archives, the U.S. National Archives, is still pushing their citizen program where individuals can go in and extrapolate or transcribe the handwriting. I just saw an advertisement that they put, or post, asking people again to participate in that citizen archivist program. Right. When we can do much more work running things through AI. Mr. Myrt, would you also turn off the power strip on both of our televisions? Because they're always listening, even though they're off. I'm still wanting to add to our bandwidth by subtracting these other things. All right, let me go back to my shared screen. The reason this is important, this particular post, if you get nothing more out of this other than that it's Hillary's birthday, please save this URL. Click, open it up on another screen and get back to it, because FamilySearch, who is considered the author, not a specific person, and I swear the former Ancestry insider Robert Raymond must have written this. It looks like him. He explains step by step how you use the search for an ancestor, not a location like Jill mentioned, which is pretty dang cool. That would be using this possible location. Can you see that, or should I zoom in even more over there? Let's see if I can.
I think it's pretty visible.
Okay, good. Anyway, they talk about using it for all collection search, and that you consider that you could put the person's name here, but more often, and this is something I learned from Robert Raymond, when you are looking at a microfilm reel that may be digitized, look at this. This is that new icon. That means it's full text searchable. Okay. Anyway, he suggests, yes, you can use the microfilm or image the group number. But let me scroll down a little bit further. Well, he explains a lot about it. This is the screen. We're coming up on the screens that are important. I mean, he's orienting you to parts of the screen. I mean, this is a tutorial right here on how to use it. This is the part that was particularly worthy of your attention and care. Use the keywords field to your advantage. So put things like indenture or will or last will and testament, which is the boilerplate for U.S. wills. Is that a boilerplate for wills over there in England and Wales, Hillary?
Yeah, it will be. It will be. You know, if you put last will and I'm trying to think what they normally put in it.
That's well, much of our laws, many of our laws in the majority of the United States, many of our laws had a basis in the English law. Take the course from the legal genealogist to find out, and how it's different in Florida and Louisiana somewhat. What they did was, in this case, look at the difference. Here's Elizabeth Bowman. The person's name is not in the name field. That's left blank. And the return was 364. But if you put the quotation marks around it, it narrows it down by 10 results. I would have thought we'd only use the name field. But time and again, in a class I took from Robert Raymond, he showed examples where putting the name up there in both of those formats was beneficial. And in fact, the author of this says, sometimes you want to look and see that you got 364, but if you needed to narrow it down, fine. Use the quotation marks around it. And then they explained about using the plus symbol in the name field. So you're looking basically for John Cole for sure, with exactly that, no middle initial, etc. And plus Eliza, the first name of the wife. This is a very good tutorial. I wish websites did this more frequently when they create a post to advertise something new on their website. It's usually about the number of records available or that have been added, and maybe one or two samples of what they look like. But this is a tutorial in and of itself. It's actually, I wouldn't mind printing it out if you're old school like old Myrt is sometimes. When I'm learning something new, I have to put sticky notes all around my monitor, so I'll remember to do these various things. Okay, let's see. Dan, are you sharing your question of the week thing or an all full text search thing at this point?
Oh.
You're muted, dear.
It's the question of the week thing, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. All right, so we've done that, and I want to get back to our question of the week, so we may as well take you, because you have a very interesting situation here. So let me add that to the stage. And tell us about this document.
So this is a really interesting document, and also a document collection that I wanted to bring light to as well. This is a document, and it's a petition for a pardon of my fourth great-grandfather, a man by the name of Percifer Hawk. and he was involved in the rebellion of Upper Canada, a group of people who took up arms against the British Crown in order to secure rights for Canadians. And he was arrested for his participation in the rebellion. And this document is his petition and eventually his acceptance of receiving a pardon from the British Crown. And this is a really interesting document that exists in what's known as the Upper Canada Sundries. And Upper Canada is what is now known as the province of Ontario. It was in the middle period between the 1840s and the late 1860s. It was known as Canada West. But all of that refers to now as what is today Ontario. And if you have any ancestors that were in Ontario before Confederation here in Canada, the Upper Canada Sundries is a really valuable resource. And
I've never heard of this website, Heritage Canadiana. I think is that French?
Yeah, Canadiana Heritage, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a partnership with Library Archives Canada. It's somewhat separate from the main Library Archives Canada, but they're using Library Archives Canada sources, and they're OCRing them and displaying them, providing them online.
Okay, so he needed a pardon. Was he jailed prior to that or imprisoned?
Yeah, he was arrested on the 7th of December, and he requested his pardon on the it was sometime March 17th, and then he eventually got out in May.
Was a reason given for his request to be pardoned?
He basically stated that he was kind of led to participate in the rebellion through external forces, people who convinced him to do it. And whether or not that's true or not, a lot of the people who participated in the rebellion and were pardoned, they would have said anything to get out of jail. There was upwards of 40 men in a single, a large cell, but they were all kind of confined to, tight quarters in the old Toronto jail. And
Not pleasant.
They would have said anything to get out of that there.
So you mentioned that they OCR'd it. So were they doing AI transcription of it?
It's not AI transcription. It's just kind of basic machine learning or something like. In the developer, you would call it the Tesseract type OCR. But it's not. They're not using any kind of AI on these particular documents. But the Upper Canada Sundries here on Canadian Heritage, they have an index. So if this is a list of all the reels in the Upper Canada Sundries that are available on the Canadiana website.
So they're microfilm reels?
They're scanned microfilm reels, yeah, digitized microfilm reels. But the 900 series are all an abstract, which is like a chronological index, and this is the one here in the 900 selection. So this is kind of an abstract of that same document that we were looking at, petition of Percifer Hawk for pardon and related papers, and it also highlights his name is such a tough one. It's transcribed in so many different ways. So it makes it a little complicated to find him. But with the Upper Canada Sundries, if you have ancestors that were in Canada before Confederation, it's a really valuable document. It has everything from applications to license a pub to criminal warrants to correspondence. They all stem from the civil secretary of Upper Canada, and it's all miscellaneous documents and any kind of interface that citizens and the government had at that time may appear in the Upper Canada Sundries.
So I have Jill has a question for you.
Well, obviously, I'm interested in this, Dan. So, so the path you took to get to the document,
yeah,
is, so you went to that, basically a court docket is what it sounds like it is in U.S. terms, where it summarized the cases. And then you scrolled through those until you found your ancestor and then made a record of where it was located and then went to the film roll. Is that how you did that?
Yeah, I can give a quick demonstration. So since they're OCR'd, you can search. So it was a document that I found with search. So in the 900 section. So usually I'll start with finding the reference to it in the I guess it's the 9000 section. And that will give you a date, but it also will give you the page numbers that it exists on. And in this abstract, if we go to the first few pages, it will tell you where that exists.
Okay.
So we can see exactly where the pages exist, and it will give you the microfilm number of what reel it appears in.
Okay, this is interesting. So your citation, have you crafted a citation for the entry for your ancestor yet? Because we are going to talk about citations.
I haven't done a citation yet. I haven't even fully finished transcribing it yet. It's just kind of something I found recently.
Okay. All right. So next week, or no, actually in 3 weeks when we meet, could you possibly create a citation?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're looking at it, you're looking at a document in a digital record set, and about an ancestor on a certain page, and then you're dealing with where you found it at Canadian Heritage. I don't know how to say it in French. I'm just trying. And have fun. That's a good layered citation for you to come up with. I think it's good.
Yeah, that'd be great. I humbly accept the homework. That'll be fun.
Well, you can't just be riding that skateboard jumping all the time. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Okay. Okay. Hillary, are you ready to talk about something? And then we'll take Randy and Ellen and then Jill about a document you may have encountered. Yeah. While you're ready, are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't actually a document. This is a post that somebody's made on Substack, but I thought it was of interest to beginners.
Okay, I'll pull it up. All right, this was her significant thing to find this week. All right, and I'll share my screen and get that up there. Okay, Hillary. Wrong screen.
Got Dan's.
Yeah, I still have Dan's. Dan, you're having fun over there. Okay, there we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Chronicle Makers. Okay, yeah. By Denise.
Because this is really just encouraging people to just get out there and start writing things. And it's also saying that, you don't have to be an expert at writing in order to do things. Just get on and just put little bits and decide I like the good bit saying who's this story really for and that sort of thing, because I thought this was really helpful for beginners. If you're thinking of starting a blog, where do you start? And basically it's saying, just get out. If you've got one thing that you want to talk about, just talk about that one thing, about one person. That's what you need to do. Sometimes people think they're going to need to write reams of stuff. And really sometimes, I mean, I'm probably one of those people that writes quite short blog posts, but I like to try and just make it a short thing so that people will get something from it, rather than having a really long one and they don't really pick up the point of what you're trying to tell them.
You know, it doesn't Randy's doing a series of complete bios as far as he knows it. And if I had to do that, it's overwhelming. I'm good on one element, one discussion of the guy's occupation, or something about the marriage based on the 2 documents I found about the marriage, maybe a newspaper announcement and a photo of the couple. I'm not very good on a complete comprehensive bio of somebody. He says he's not an author, or that he's an engineer. He's not a writer. He's a very good writer, but he also is effectively using AI to accomplish the task of writing a narrative. So it's okay if it's just the name and how it was spelled 14 different ways for a name like Smith, and why you are calling this person Smith spelled with a Y, SMYTH. Very good. Denise has done a wonderful job. Of course, she's teaching about how to do writing, how to effectively write. For anybody else on the panel get stuck with what to write about?
No.
How about those of you who are out
I don't.
Yeah.
I've got a list a mile long of things to write about.
And
But you have to feel it, though.
well, I do.
You have a
Well,
list?
and that's when I decide which one I'm going to write on. So, yeah.
it's good to have a list.
I
It
know.
is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Randy points out in the chat, to do a biography, you need all the little bits of information, like I was talking about, those individual moments in time. Yeah. For me, do you know why I have the nom de plume of Dear Myrtle? It was so my ego was out of the way, because I had a terrible terror of a grammar teacher in 8th grade, Mrs. Graham, who was just the wicked witch of the West, and diagramming sentences and all of that. And I like to just tell the story like I'm talking to you, and not worry about ending a sentence with a preposition and things like that. I'm good on citations, but I might not be perfect in my narrative. So I hid behind the Dear Myrtle moniker until people began to recognize some of my typos. Because of my own editor, most of us are. I didn't
But
think
having somebody like that can really affect you in not writing at all.
yeah. I could
had
then
that.
write. Yes, Hillary?
No, that was me, but I had that happen in college to me.
Did
where, if I made one grammatical or punctuation error, I went from an A to a B. If I made 2, I went from a B to a C. And so I ended up with C spot run.
Yeah. Luckily, my English teachers, English instructors in college weren't that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you see, it's my 8th grade teacher that still terrorizes me. Paula says, my mom was an English teacher and loved grammar and such. And Paula, was a lover of math. Needless to say, you were at odds. I hear you. Marcia says, I use ChatGPT to suggest improvements to my writing.
Yep.
That's good. I agree that Randy's doing a great job of having AI take his moments in time and having it come up with a good narrative, a happy narrative. But he clearly lets you know in that post that he used this particular or that particular large language model to come up with this song or this poem or this bio. And thank you for sharing the Substack post directly, the link. Let me just mention that Randy is giving a talk on, let me give the presentation on the ABCs of ancestor profiles. I happen to write about it over in Substack. Let me pull this up. But, and you had a really great interview yesterday, Randy, about this upcoming presentation on Thursday. You met with Barbara at Project Kin. She usually meets with somebody on Sunday to talk about what's happening in the upcoming week. And she referred to the Thursday program. This is where you can find out about it. Here's the link. Let me share my screen with you. There we go. Should be coming up. There we go. There's delays left and right. I don't know. We're probably going to hear that Substack servers are being wonky. I know I'm having internet issues, but I give up. Anyway, it's Pacific Daylight Time because that makes sense for Randy and Barbara and I live in the Pacific time zone. But there's the link to find out about registering for the Zoom event. And then here's the interview that occurred yesterday that I'm referring to, where Barbara met with Randy. They had a lively discussion about why he has been having so much fun and how he accomplishes using AI to do those ancestor profiles. So it's a shout out to you, Randy, to be able to let people know about your event on Thursday. Did you want to say anything about it?
Well, sure. You'll have trouble shutting me up, probably. Well, I will have this talk on Thursday and do demonstrations of the whole process, all the elements of it. But I want to point out that it's extremely important. The most important thing is to have all those bits of moments in time for an ancestor, the birth, marriage, death, the children, the records, the census records, the probate, whatever, and have it in a form that you can tuck into the chatbot.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. If you don't have that, then you're going to have to find it either by yourself or steal it from someone's family tree program or family tree online, etc. So it's a challenge. That's the biggest challenge for people who are really interested in family stories, but maybe not in family trees, and consequently, you can't do the biography without the moments in time.
I get it. Okay, well, Valerie's registered. I'm registered. I'm excited to attend. We'll hold down the heckling contingent, okay? On Zoom. No, it's all good. All right, I can't remember who I said I'd speak to next. How about Ellen? How about if we talk about this newspaper article you found? I'll pull it up, share my screen. That'll make it easy, yeah. Okay. What have we got here? Ooh.
So I wrote a blog a couple weeks ago about a train accident that my great-grandmother was in with her family when my great-grandfather was away at war. And I think the only thing about this is I discovered this document just after I actually posted the blog. And I think it shows the importance of really looking at different spellings. We're talking about different names and how they're like Dan's Percival and how many different spellings it possibly could have. This is another one. My great grandmother's name was called Ellen Middlebrow, and so they messed up her name as Helen, and I should have thought of that because Helen, I get called Helen sometimes, or Elaine, and then Middlebrow is not spelt that way. It's Middlebrough, no, bro, Brough. So not that extra O. So I mean, it really, so I never had found this because I never thought to look for my great grandmother as Helen. And so she was one of the first people to ever sue the CNR with, for damages for what had happened to the family in the accident. And so I just found this last week. And so then I started elaborating and trying different ways of spelling, and I found a few more, so, sometimes, I don't know, I guess I just had never thought. I know that this is how some people spell Middlebrow, but I hadn't ever looked at it that way, and I certainly have never looked for Helen.
Yeah. Wow. And I like that when you clipped from I think it's newspapers.com,
Yes.
that the information on the Edmonton, Alberta, Canada is part of it.
Yeah.
We know the date and the page number where it's found for your citation. And boy, did they have a lot of pop-ups over there. Yeah.
And actually it talks about Edna Middlebrow. And I did know that she did get her amount of money, and I can't remember, it wasn't very much. But she didn't get it until she was of age. And that was about 20 years later.
Yeah. Wow. Well, my granddaughter was in a terrible car accident and had a six-figure amount given to her because she had to have plastic surgery. She was in kindergarten and had to have plastic surgery on her face. And that had to be put in a special account until she was 21. I think the courts protect children like that.
Yeah. I mean, $6,000 in 1917 was a fair amount of money.
A lot. So. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing this unusual thing. It's amazing when you run across additional things about an ancestor's event. Okay, let's see who's next. Who haven't I spoken with? Oh, Randy. Which one would you like to talk about? The muster roll?
The muster roll, yeah. I was looking for stories, to tell. And so I got.
Okay.
I remember that Henry Carringer, who was a brother of my second great grandfather Henry, had DJ, I guess, had died in the Civil War. I didn't know any details, and so a hint popped up on Ancestry and led me to the document. And it's a list of all the people that got mustered in, but it also tells what happened to them. So Henry is down that list a long way. He's a private. He's
22.
August 11th, 1862. And went to training in Erie, Pennsylvania under Captain Brown. He got a $25 bounty. And then he was discharged December 12th of 1862. And he died 13 days later. So he must have got sick or injured. Most of the regiment left for battles in Virginia in September 1862. So there was still training going on. You just come in, and so, some companies left and some didn't, and his didn't go at the time, I guess. and they were in for most of the war and all through Virginia into Gettysburg and
Wow.
yeah, on and on. So just lucky. And then he died. So there's not a whole lot story there except that.
Did he
But-
have any children? Was he married?
No, he wasn't married. He went in. He was 22 years old. Been working on the farm.
Is there a pension for his parents? He may have helped support his parents.
I don't think so. I've
Because
looked.
that's a thing that can happen. There were two Carringers on that list. Do you know the relationship to the other Carringer?
Yeah, he's a brother of one of the father's brothers.
So his
He's
cousin.
He's a
A
cousin.
cousin. The boys were cousins.
Yeah.
What a terribly difficult thing. So this is a great example of finding a document and sharing the images of it, as well as transcribing. Transcribe in the United States means word for word. Extract or abstract in the United States means kind of the basics. And then here's your citation. So this is the record set as it is referred to on Ancestry.
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, guys.
That's all right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful blog post because you've got a lot of ways of intriguing people. It is known, and there are hospital records. That doesn't mean it's a building hospital. It could be a tent hospital in a tent, close to the battlefield or somewhat removed, or in the case of being very close to where he was being trained, where you could find out, he'll have a compiled military service record at the National Archives. And in that it will state when he was out and to the hospital and not fit for duty, etc. So there's a lot of research we could do on this. Very exciting that you found this. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry I didn't share it very well. Okay. I think we're up to Jill. Now, Jill has been traveling.
Yes, I have been.
Yeah.
But my document is that I'd like to share is actually a PDF and not with a link. So I think
you want to just tell us about it then?
Yeah, why don't I just tell you about it? Then that's probably a better way to do that. My grandfather had to declare bankruptcy in 1931. And it took till 1937 until it was resolved in the courts. And so bankruptcy is interesting because it's a federal issue. And so I was thinking that it would be on the court docket in my county, which it was on the court docket of my county, but only as a referral to the feds. They had a number, and so I knew that where the bankruptcy documents are held for the country of the United States are in St. Louis. And so I contacted them to get my bankruptcy documents. Now, little did I know how large of a file this was going to be, but they actually called me and said, this is a box, and we historically see 1,000 pages in a box. And I went, oh my goodness. And she said, we charge 80 cents a page. And I go, didn't want to do that. But I also felt like I could probably hire someone closer. So I hired someone who lived in the area. They went there and they copied the documents. We had set a fee. It took her all day to copy them. And there were 1,800 pages in this bankruptcy
Oh
file.
my gosh.
Yes, yes. Now there was a lot of repetitiveness, but there was my grandfather being interviewed by the opposing lawyer, by the trustee's lawyer, and what his answers were. And so it was a marvelous document to get. Cost me some money, but I just urge people, if you have any of those kinds of issues that occurred in the 30s or whenever, that you do contact NARA and get those documents from St. Louis.
Yeah.
They really have just a treasure trove. And now I really want to write, if not an article, if not a book, at least an article about my grandfather establishing a private bank in 1895. He bought somebody else's bank. He established that. He had it going for a long time until 1931, and then it all collapsed on him.
The banks.
So a pretty interesting story. And then you start feeding in the fact that your mother told you that they had to sell everything. And that's why I have hardly any artifacts of this family at all.
Mm.
Sold their home. They had to sell their cars. They sold everything. And what was interesting is 2 weeks after he declared bankruptcy, the town elected him mayor for the 50th time. So he was always well respected, and people knew about the bankruptcy, but that it was not held against him when it came to
it was the times. It was the circumstances of the depression.
It was the time, right?
Yeah, and people who are, let's see, I was talking with someone yesterday, and they hadn't heard of Roots Web, which was the old message boards that we used. And it was before their time, so they didn't think of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was, 9/11 is out of the mind. My grandchildren, unless I told them,
Mm-hmm.
are not aware of what we did on 9/11, how we, that we stood, why did you stand in line for 8 hours to give blood when there were no survivors?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't know that. We
Mm-hmm.
just knew that there were going to be thousands of people involved. So, yeah, it's all a matter of understanding that context.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And how interesting to get the story directly from your grandfather's mouth.
Right. Right.
Oh, man. That's going to be a very interesting book. You author of already a book about orphanages,
My orphans, right. Well, I'm working on a different book right now, so I'll have to wait. Grandpa's got to wait.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, have I talked to everybody? I think I have. Okay, couple of comments from the public side here. Let's see, from the community. First of all, be sure to put your hashtag in. I started to talk about that over when we were on the other version of Mondays with Myrt before the technology failed us. So it's hashtag Mondays. I'm typing it in with Myrt. It doesn't have to be upper and lowercase like I put it, but it sometimes makes it easier for you to read. You can just copy and paste mine. Because I'm planning to give away, and I see there's 5 entries right now, planning to give away Elizabeth Schoenmill's quick sheet called, let me pull this up over here, Your Stripped Bare Guide. I love that. That's what always comes to mind here. Your Stripped Bare Guide to Citing Sources, Evidence Explained Style. Now, this is not a book. There's a Kindle version and there's a pamphlet version. The pamphlet it's a laminated 11 by 17 folded in half, where she talks to you about what do you actually, if you were to print out what you just saw in the newspaper, what are you holding in your hand? You're holding the printout of a digital version that somebody shared with you, or you're looking at it online. And those elements of here's the digital image and so either somebody shared it with you, it was from their collection, or it's the website that presented it, newspapers.com, that need to be part of that citation. And this has been updated. So if you're interested in that, and I see Louis here, and hello Bobby, and hello to Jane, hello Betty Lou, hello Cindy, hello Linda. I don't know who else. Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Thank you, Randy, for sharing the link to register for your talk. That is information. It's in a calendar, and you click on Thursday the 12th. And when you click on it, the details there show you how to register. It includes the description. So let's see. Husband's third great uncle was in a hospital ship on the Mississippi during the Civil War. The hospital records are filed by unit at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. And when I submitted a request for 6 of them, the gal at the desk, just a clerk, said, "Oh, nobody ever orders those. What do you need those for?" Well, one of the things I needed it for was to see my one guy that I was working on, he had syphilis. That's what it was. That probably explains why they had no more children, other than my great grandmother. The other, and on one of the pages, the patient had died, and in this hospital register, and they came in all different shapes and sizes. They were like blank books where literally they'd drawn the columns and labeled the columns by hand. It was just, and then entered information. But one of the individuals had passed away, and in the far column it said that the soldier's remains were picked up by his brother, and they mentioned the brother by name. That's why you get the hospital records whenever possible. Betty Lou says, "I tend to do both the transcription and the abstract of her documents, unless the document just lists what I already put in the abstract, like a birth register." Okay. There's our Mondays with Myrt from Karen. Thank you for that link. I want to pull up something that I missed. Paula said she had a spreadsheet that she's creating a timeline on people, including their census and birth years, buying houses, marriages. Would that kind of information work? Oh, this is back to Randy's discussion.
Yeah, it will. You can copy and paste into a document or directly into the chatbot a timeline, either that you've found in your own program or in an online tree. You want the one with a lot of information. It won't capture family stories unless they're in an event in the timeline also, but it can be done. Yeah.
Okay. Valerie, I can't make that promise. Yeah, Marcia is saying that using your bio process helps her review her research. Good point. Man, I miss a lot of good comments. There was something else. Yes, Dawn was sharing a death register in Arkansas that gave a wife's death date, birth date, and birthplace in Russia, Prussia, and the husband's death date in the administration court book was indexed. Interesting. So that was your document. Cindy said she found a document that her third great grandparents were actually who she thought they were. Yay for full text research. Wow. Yes, and we knew Randy has made a lot of progress because we followed his blog for so long. It's full text research or full text search. Let's see. Betty Lou said she's been doing name review at FamilySearch, and AI sometimes has really struggled with printed text. Yes, it's not a perfect world, but it certainly has AI. The use of AI in transcribing full text has been a significant breakthrough for many genealogists. Okay, let's see. I think I caught up on all the comments. Okay, one more. Oh, Karen, you need to fix your Mondays with Myrt. The hashtag has to have an S after Mondays. It's kind of some Mondays with Myrt. Anyway, okay. Betty Lou, my uncle's death is listed as different days on different records. All I can figure is that he died at night in one record lists when last seen alive, and the other when he was found dead in the morning. Yep, that can be problematic. All right, okay. Let me bring up something I'd like to discuss. I'm going to use the example of searching for my ancestor at Hadi Trust. And that page is going to come up shortly. And while it does, we'll get all our ducks in a row and I'll share my screen. And got to do that. Okay. At the very bottom of this page, and we're going to zoom in, this is the published Pennsylvania archives. It goes back to the colonial period, and it started around 1820. They started publishing. The Secretary of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania started publishing these loose papers that were in folio boxes because they were they were mixed up. They were just loose papers, and I've seen them like that in South Carolina at the archives, but not at the archives, because their manuscript collection is at the university. So in the Caroliniana Library across town. But as part of understanding let me share this, some of the problems. I have an ancestor, Conrad Weiser. Okay, I want it to go the other way. And I want to search for him here. And let me just start over again. It's not, okay. If I can't zoom in, but it does say on the bottom of this, page 1, that it's 18 something. Well, I know it was published in 18 something. But because I have now explained to you the process, gosh, there's such a lag from when I'm asking it to zoom in. I might look at that published Pennsylvania archives and see a publication date in the early 1800s and say it's not going to have anything on my ancestor, except that luckily I happen to know this thing, that they started publishing these little red books that are about 3 inches thick each. Some of them have a huge fold-out map, etc. And only a few libraries in the world have it, but it happens to be fully digitized here and a number of other places. So I'm going to search for Conrad Weiser. And we are going to see the results in a new tab. And it's searching. And so the trick in citing is that when we find a document, let's pull this one up. And we need it to be zoomed in. Come on, zoom in. Ugh. All right, I'm starting again. If the page is oh man. Come on, let's go to how to trust right from the beginning. If the page that's been transcribed, and I spelled it wrong, has a date on it, that's the date that you use in the first part of your citation, but it is published in a book that has been digitized, and that date of publication of the book and is very different. It's much later. Am I making any sense? I'm letting this bug me. Let's look for Conrad Weiser here. I'm sorry. Okay, so we got a couple of books about him and things along that line, but I want to find it in the published Pennsylvania archives. And every one of these books I have a digital copy of, or a full, here we are. Nope, Pennsylvania German. Come on, give me the published. I give up. I'm not worrying about it. This is a failed element here. This is just a comedy of errors today. So the citation is an issue when you've got a, clearly the guy died. He was a French and Indian war colonel, right? So he didn't even live to the Revolutionary War. His sons, of course, did. We have to be careful when even the DAR recognizes his service, his son's service, because it's mentioned in a later series of the published Pennsylvania archives. Oh, thank you for the link. Thank you for posting it. It's normally a good site. I don't know if it's my internet or just it's today. Okay, let's move right along.
Well, Myrt, it's good to have you have these problems, because these are problems everybody has. And we're really glad that we're not glad that you're having them. It's just that you're putting us all on a very level playing field. So just be aware that that's
wasn't that thoughtful of me to demonstrate the frustrations we all
yes. Now I have a tendency to just blow my stack and start yelling at my computer. So I just kind of like to say, you're handling this very well.
Yeah.
Well, I do have an audience and I'm on my best behavior. Okay. And Ellen, I can't do your link on the Ancestry Recognize because it's in a private tree.
So I'm not exactly sure how to share. Do I just go to present?
Oh no, that's okay. We'll see what Hillary can do with the full text, with the face-to-face.
Oh.
Let me switch the topic. So and what you'll do, Ellen, with your two monitors, put the page you want up.
I don't have two monitors. I have one.
Okay, so then you're going to have to trust me. Dan, in the private chat, could you walk her through the steps of opening up the window that she wants us to view? And then teach her to click the present button and pick that window. And so, Ellen, look in the private chat and follow his directions. And once I see that yours is up and available, I'll know what to do. Okay, let me pull this over. What are we doing here, Hillary? Let me share my screen. And tell me, this is your contribution face-to-face? Oh, I remember this day.
Yeah. I was looking through my blog posts to see what I could extract from them to add to the website We Are XYZ, because I'm trying to extract things, any stories or anything that I may have blogged about, and trying to make sure that I put them in appropriately and tag them with the people that were involved, etc. So I started going through my blog posts on my one of my blogs, because I've got more than one. I've got I've got one that's more about my family, and this is one where I posted more about some of the events and things I was going to. But I've got some of the early ones, and this one I actually posted. I think it was something like 2016 or something like that. I've certainly got I've got a link to the post there.
So-
I posted it. Oh no, 2009. I actually posted a post that said and I headed it face to face, and it was about actually going into genealogy conferences and fairs and things like that, and meeting with other people, and basically saying it's really worth going to these sort of things. I mentioned my uncle, about the fact that he used to go and give talks and things, and he tended to go to places where our family had come from, and he got talking to people that came to the talks with the opportunity, in the hopes that somebody might actually be a relation, because you just do not know when you go to these things.
Plus, this was probably you're not in this picture, but
No.
this was Mondays with Myrt live from the Glass Enclosed Nerve Center on the 3rd floor of the FamilySearch library. At the time, it was the Family History Library. And this is a group of genealogy bloggers and our blogger beads. I was thrilled to meet you face to face, because we've been online together for a long time. Here's the link to the actual post and comments that were made. And I didn't realize we'd been friends that long. We really have been friends for a long time. Thank you for this wonderful, relaxing comment about friendship, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Believe it or not, FamilySearch said that that me and Jill, who's in that photo, are possibly 14th cousins.
It's pretty
a really long way back. I said I'll have to check mine out, and she'll have to check out her side before we can be certain that we are actually related. So
yes. All right, now we're seeing a picture here, Ellen. It looks like we're ready for Ellen. So thank you. Thank you for helping her, Dan. This is way cool. I worked with you once, then you're working with her. This is just exactly friends helping friends. We get by with little help from our friends. Thank you, Hillary, for sharing that picture. I honestly didn't know we'd been around that long. Oh, anyway, An Edge of Snowdonia is your blog, one of them. Okay, Ellen, tell us about this picture. Getting to be about that time. You muted, darling.
Ontario Ancestors has had somebody posted they wanted to figure out something about a photograph, and I said, have you tried the new facial recognition on Ancestry? And nobody knew anything about it, and so I did a video and I shared this how you can do it. So if you go into your gallery on your tree and choose one of your photos, and then the third button is recognize. Now I have to, I can't click that button. How come I can't click that button?
I don't know.
I can't click it. Anyways, you'll get the idea, and I'll tell you.
It's Monday. We're getting all the weeks out of the way, and you're going to be fine the rest of the week. But do you have
recognize, you'll get, if they have anything that looks like this same picture, and in fact when I do this one, I'll get 20 trees that has this picture in it. Well, if you had any photo that you didn't really know who they were, you could put it in your tree gallery. You don't have to have it attached to a person. You might be able to find someone that does have that person, and so you get various degrees of whether it's good or not. It could be a really great photo recognition, or it could be a fair. So so I mean, I don't know why I can't click on it, because
I'll tell you what, why don't you go to your YouTube channel or your blog, wherever it is
Right.
that you've got the link to your demonstration video.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing this to my attention, because I wasn't aware of this. And that's the whole point of having this free-for-all on alternate Mondays, is to see what new things people are doing. And you're really big into photos and preserving them.
Yeah.
So put that in the private chat so I can as well, and then Randy can pull it over and publish it.
Because I do demonstrate this particular photograph as well as others.
Oh, I
And
see it
also
now.
about doing mystery ones that you don't know who they are.
Okay, so at 10:19, I see it's posted in the private chat, and Randy can share it publicly on the YouTube.
I mean,
site.
it's actually been quite a popular video because I have almost 3,000 views and it's only been up for, I don't know, less than 2 weeks.
Bravo!
Which is
Way to go, girl! Way to go! That's cool. Okay, let's see what else is on our list. Okay, I'm going to share this from the formidable genealogist. And she had talked about on TikTok about working with the host, Jane Seymour. I think I've spelled her name wrong. As the researcher for a new program that's on Acorn TV. It's already come out, and I saw it. I subscribe to Acorn TV. We like anything British and murder mysteries, and that's a good one anytime it's genealogy. Let's see, Civil War. What else have we done? I'm looking at our list. Gwen did an interesting post. Now, it's also about the citation issue. When there's a problem with FamilySearch having mislabeled a record set. And this was explained to me again in something that Robert Raymond told me. There was the old way of a microfilm. We'd order microfilm, and there could be more than one item on the microfilm, meaning more than one record set. When we looked at the microfilm in the Bradenton Family History Center that people had put on indefinite, we cataloged what the other items were. And one person had the tail end of a census, but it was an index to the census. Some Quaker records, the census was for like Maryland. The Quaker was like 1600s in Pennsylvania. Then it had something from out west. It had 11 different digital or microfilmed records in one film. And so it was in our catalog, our catalog, under the one item, which happened to be about the third or fourth item, but not under the other 11. So we had to be careful to create, we actually had a card catalog. We made entries for what those other topics were. So you could literally walk through a subject or locality or surname section of our catalog at that tiny family history center. When digital record sets come in, this is different than microfilming. If it's for a certain area, that takes priority over the type of record that it is. So it gets thrown into this collection, and that collection may initially have been, and this is literally from the mouth of Robert Raymond, it could have been that the digital record set on FamilySearch was for court records. Let's say it was probate records for this certain place. Well, right now, things are getting thrown together by certain place, and whichever record set gets thrown in there most recently, like if they threw court records, they had court records, and now they're throwing in tax records, the whole set becomes tax records, when in fact, they're two separate collections that are misnamed. And you may remember a couple of months ago, David Renscher asked us on Facebook, would you prefer to know the locality or the record type? Because he was trying to point out they really need to be separate. But at least you can't just put all church records for 1 million locations together. It was better to at least put it in under locality because you're in the same neck of the woods doing research, but on different record sets. So when Gwen pointed out in this blog post over on Substack that I've sent you the link to, she's talking about a problem with a mistitled record collection, digital record collection. And so you can make a discursive note that that is inaccurate and that the first, 800 images happen to be the court records, and the second half, starting at record 801, because you went through all that research, is where the tax records start showing up. But the next time they add another record set, it's going to change that title again. It's interesting. In this case, you need to have that digital record collection number to help you find it.
So Myrt, if we have a minute or two, I can give another example of that.
Yeah, do.
I was looking at Escambia County, Florida for a presentation I made down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one record set under images for it. And so I pulled it up and I pulled it up and it called it history records. Well, everything we do is history records. What do you mean?
Yeah,
it had no meaning, so there was a title for this collection for Escambia County that was something that was so generic that it was difficult to even be clued to the reader to know what to do with it. When I opened it up, it was 1822 to 1836 court docket records. And somebody wants to know Escambia County court records back at that time frame. And so I just randomly picked and it had an embedded index, so that was good. I could get to my Kaiser that I was interested in. And when I pulled that up, I found that Kaiser was the ferry master, and he was being sued by the city because he had been commanded to run his ferry twice a day instead of once a day. This was all in there. And that they were going to cancel his contract instead. And he said, please don't cancel my contract until we can negotiate this. And underneath it, it said, ferry hours and costs are included. And so wouldn't you want that document if you were Kaiser? Well,
yeah.
I actually want that document. But under history records, And so the citation then was unidentifiable. And so you really had to go in and you really had to change things to get it to be much more specific. And you wouldn't want to cite the docket anyway. You'd want to go directly to the original records, but you'd have to request those. But nevertheless, you'd put a placeholder as the docket so that you kept that record until you got the original.
That's true. When I find a name in an index and that stops because it isn't the digital image isn't readily available, that's what I attach to that person in my database until I can come up with the better.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if it's an image of the index, I'll put the image of the index in there until I get the original. Totally
get that. I get this, Valerie. We used to teach people to note the item number in the source citation. how is this new way going to be cited? David didn't actually say. It's just that it's an ongoing challenge.
Mhm.
I think that their full text search on every collection is going to help us tremendously in this regard, and that's why they're not moving to making another category for the specific real name of what you're actually looking at. All right, it's about time. Golly, I hope we got some good content in here. I know we did. It just seems like we've been grasping at straws all day. We may talk about the quick search in genealogy assistant. Boy, you're going to do double duty next time we meet, Dan. So we'll talk about that quick search on the 30th. Remember, we're not meeting on the 23rd. We're meeting on the 30th so I can learn more about AI. Yeah. And the other thing to mention, let's see. Has everybody typed in the hashtag Mondays with Myrt? I have 14 entries and I have 32 live viewers right now. And that does not include the panelists. Okay. I'm going to hit the draw button to see who gets that quick sheet. And you'll need to send an email to DearMYRTLE@gmail.com and give me your snail mail address. Or if you'd like the Kindle version, I'll get your Gmail address or email address. If you live in another country, I may have to give you the equivalent funds. I know sometimes that's difficult. Monique says several things are good. I'm glad we helped you today, Monique. She's doing a full text search on Wednesday night, so she appreciated the heads up by going over that from. Yeah, I was just blown away by that blog post because I swear it might have been written by Robert Raymond. It just so much followed his thinking as he presented it, but could be wrong. All right, we ready? Okay, I'm hitting the draw button. Let's see who wins. Yay, Valerie. Okay, Valerie, send me your email. Unlike Zoom, I can't look up your email address because you attended on the YouTube side. So just write to old Myrt and I'll send it to you. Thank you. And I guess there's nothing left to say but happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap. And we'll see you on the 30th.